Oh, don't look up. We need to get to the top. I'm sure we'll make it. I wonder what awaits us there? The unknown is frightening. Sometimes it's hard to choose the right path, but don't be afraid. You can always repeat. We learn from our mistakes. It's very hard to make a choice when you don't know where it will lead. Sometimes it's hard to choose the right path, but don't be afraid. You can always repeat. We learn from our mistakes.
Oof. Spooky. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so scary. No, no, no. Oh my goodness. No! Shit! I'm going all over the ground. Damn, alright.
Sometimes it's hard to choose the right path, but don't be afraid. You can always repeat. We learn from our mistakes.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe I just fell that far already.
Sometimes it's hard to choose the right path, but don't be afraid. You can always repeat. We learn from our mistakes.
Why does it keep doing that sound? You know what? We're just gonna turn the sound off. Let's do a podcast or something. Let's go with Russell Brand. See if there's anything this morning. Actually, let's see what
Do not go to FabLetters.com. Do not take our historically low offer. 2 for 24 shorts, 1 for $24.
I will be in Tampa, Florida. .com. Love you guys. I want to thank Rooster Teeth for allowing us time today here in their studio space out here in Austin, Texas. We are grateful to them, and we are grateful for this space. Today's guest is a comedian. He's a podcaster. I think I would say he's an enlightened being. He has his own podcast called the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. He has a show on Netflix. He's one of a kind. Today's guest is my friend, Mr. Duncan Trussell.
Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine on me, and I will find a song I will sing it. I'm on the stage.
They had a man by us that they found a Korean guy who had been hiding, I guess, in the ceiling of the YMCA. Yeah, this was in Santa Monica. They found a Korean in the ceiling, and so they shut everything down. One time, like, the police came in and raided him. He'd been going there for years, you know. He'd been, like, sneaking. He's like one of those, you know, people are, what's that new thing? People are hiding in people's homes or whatever?
Nesting.
Yeah. Yeah, nesting, yeah.
They nest in your house. You don't know. They come down and drink your milk.
Right, sorry. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's like there was, and this guy was nesting in the YMCA.
Not a bad place to nest.
Oh, no. And I remember I saw him for years. Sorry, Zach. I was a bit abrupt there. I'm having a long day, and it's
You
only
are
this time.
Theo. What happened?
Well, there's fucking people in the ceiling, brother. There's people in my ceiling right now. You know, there's squatters. I got Koreans in my brain. I got brothers in my head.
Who knows what else? Yeah, man, it would be so wonderful to have some brain scanning device that showed you a visual depiction of all the various entities, whatever they may be, whether it's, you know, psychological structures or authentic demons. So you could just get the rundown, like when you get blood tests, you know?
Yeah.
Because then you'd know. You'd know, like, why you're acting the way you act sometimes. Not you specifically, but, you know, when the monster pops out.
Oh, well, I think that's, you know, I wonder a lot if we do, I was just talking about this on Rogan the other day, if we do enough of the right testing, like we take people's temperature, like temperature is such a, who cares? You can almost guess it, you know, if you're anybody with a thermometer with the 2 cents, you know.
God damn it.
Yeah, like you could touch somebody like, oh, you're warm or you're cold, you know, you're dead, you're alive, you know. It's like, but I feel like we have such primitive testing. It still feels like that we're allowed to see.
Right.
I would love to know. Yeah, who's in here today?
Right.
What skeletons are out?
Yeah. What unaddressed trauma is about to explode out of me in the middle of traffic?
Yeah.
Well, and then you'll know, and then maybe it won't happen. But this is, yeah, I think the testing we have on the human body is pretty remarkable, right? Like you can do, like you don't even have to get the prostate thing, you know, where they shove the tube and cut the polyps. It's disgusting. It's like a haircut for your intestines. I got to get one soon. But you could just do like some test that tells you if, you know, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the Michael Jackson drug and then have this long tube that your doctor is weirdly like excited to tell you about.
Yeah, he's listening to Billie Jean while he puts it in you.
My doctor was so excited. He's like, you'll be able to see your appendix. Like, I don't want to see my fucking appendix. I never want to see it. I want to die without seeing my appendix.
Yeah.
But anyway, now they can just test it. I can't remember what the name of it is. The worst commercial on TV. It's like an annoying corrective animation, like interrupts people when they're swimming, and it's like, have you had your asshole checked?
Yeah.
It's a stupid commercial. But the point is, if they can do that, it's interesting. The mind is like the ocean. You know, we have no idea what's going on in there. Like, it's the biggest part of planet Earth, and we barely know what's down there.
How do
Sometimes
people
It's really
you choose
curious.
the right
get
path.
past the
Well, in the
sand
ocean
to
too, man. The ocean, a lot of it is. Most of the animals are by the edge.
something like that?
Yeah, right? Like you're talking like down there in those thermal vents, it starts low population density, and what is down there is like terrifying.
Well, it's the same type of people that live. I think if you get out into very rural Utah, or you get out into like you go deep into the mountains or into some caverns or something, you find some real cryptic homies out there.
Oh my dude.
You know.
When I was in Asheville, the last day of my kid's preschool, right before we left,
Oh my
I
gosh.
met a
This is so
psychologist
hard.
whose job was to go out into deep Appalachia and like, you know, that's where all his clients were. And just what you're saying, like the stuff going on out there is crazy. Like he was telling me one of his patients took a scythe and went to this dude's trailer where I guess he's sitting watching TV and used the scythe to cut through the trailer into the dude's back. Like,
This is risky.
Came through the wall.
The wall with a scythe.
Oh.
You're just
Oh
watching
my
like
God.
American Ninja Challenge,
Yeah.
and a scythe comes through your fucking trailer.
But how interactive is that? I mean, you couldn't, no matter what cable you paid for, rarely would you be watching American Ninja, and then an actual bootleg fucking meth ninja rolls up with a sight
No.
and cracks through your homestead.
Like 80% moonshine, just filled with that kind of moonshine that makes your eyes turn white. And he
Yeah,
just
dude.
fucking- something sparks in his brain. He's like, I'm gonna do it today. And he goes and scythes someone's trailer.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's our minds. We have our back roads and we have our dark bowers and secret places. Some people never ever even know. They just think they're like
How am I
the
supposed to
first
get
thing
to
that comes to
this?
their mind. They don't know that like there's a lot of shit.
Yeah, they don't know that there's people pushing people to the front of the class to say something. They think that, oh, that's the first thought I have, but they don't know there's all these dark arts in the distance pushing people
Yeah.
forward. I think my mind a lot of time is like, what's that black street that they burned down or whatever, Zach? That was like that was like black. It was like fancy. It was like the first black like Main Street.
You talking about Black Wall Street in Tulsa?
Yeah,
That was, yeah.
They
I think-
burn it down?
they burned it down a long time ago. I'm not sure what exactly happened. It may have been racism.
Oh
It
my
may have just
God.
been fireworks. I don't know what it was. White residents attack black residents' homes and businesses as well as
Oh, there
culture
you
and
go.
public institutions in Greenwood District of Tulsa, Oklahoma, an oil boom city. Black Wall Street, one of the wealthiest black communities. So it was like kind of your early Atlanta.
Jesus Christ. They burn it all down.
Yeah, the property loss.
35 blocks were
No!
systematically looted.
Oh my
and burned.
gosh.
Yeah.
This is
I don't
so
know, does it
hard.
say why they did this?
No.
I'm
Ah!
guessing it's not fireworks.
Yeah, this looks more like probably racism.
Mobs of white residents.
Mm. The Red Cross provided relief. Do you see any? If you see something, Zach, let me know. Won't you peep on it while we're? But that's what kind of my head is. You know, I remember going to the doctor one time when I was young, and the guy, they put that thing in your head, that little looker, you know.
The looker?
It like it. They
Sometimes
put
Oh, the ear looker?
Yeah.
Stethoscope?
But don't
It's
be
called an
afraid.
ear
You
looker.
can
stethoscope. Yeah, ear looker. Yeah, ear
Yeah,
looker.
I got it. Well, I know it. Yeah, stethoscope.
They put it in there, and the guy was like, "Oh, you got a bunch of brothers in your head, right?" But he said the N word, right? The
What?
doctor, yeah. And I remember that, and I was like, and he was just joking around, I guess, you know. But it was like I didn't know what was going on.
How old were
know?
you?
I was probably 9 or 10, you know.
Just think of that dude. Like, imagine being that doctor, looking in a kid's ear, and that is what makes sense for you to say.
Yeah. And
That-
that's a doctor. He looked in, he's like, oh, you got a bunch of N-words in your head. And I was like, whoa, whoa.
What the?
Yeah. Well, tell him to come out, dude. At least, like, you know, let's get on a first name basis. But it blew my mind. I think he was trying to, like, make my dad laugh or something, you know. It was just back in the days when there was just kind of semi-casual racism. like,
Right.
you know.
I mean, that's not even semi-casual racism. That's like, I mean, if we're gonna like analyze racism, that's pretty hardcore. Like, and that it sounds like a joke he makes. Like,
Yeah.
that's just one of the funny bedside manner things he does when he's with 9-year-olds. Like, that generally cracks 9-year-olds up, I guess. It would probably terrify me to it.
Oh, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if, like, half of, like, In Living Color was living in my head.
There's
You know what I'm saying?
humans in my ear.
Yeah.
What are you talking? You're a doctor. I'm gonna trust you. Whoa. Yeah, that's
so that
crazy.
was great. Yeah, it was just kind of the environment around us, I think.
At
But,
least you remembered it, man. Like that's the problem is like stuff happens like that to you when you're a kid and you forget it. And then you get this like weird little limp, like a micro limp, a weird little like you have anxiety attacks when you see ear lookers or you don't know why. That's
Yeah.
the problem. We forget. The mind forgets, but a lot of stuff just gets in there. Just gets in. Dude, I was like a few months ago. I don't know, man. I've done psychedelics my whole life. So like, if I get a little wobbly, generally I'm just like, all right, whatever. You're wobbly today. But I was like particularly like weird. Like I was off. I don't know how off you get, but I was like off. And my wife was like, "What's going on with you?"
Mm.
And I'm doing the Rolodex. If I've been eating a lot of edibles, am I getting enough sleep? And like everything is pretty normal. And then I'm like, fuck. I Google search because I try not to remember it when my mom died.
Mm-hmm.
That day.
No.
Didn't remember it. Didn't remember the date, but my body remembered it. And like I talked to my friend who's a psychiatrist. He's like, yeah, that's seasonal triggers. They like activate people's grief. And some people don't even know that's what's happening.
Wow.
It's so wild, man. That's just stored in us forever. And what else is in there?
Yeah.
Like, surely it's not just the worst thing that happened to you. It's probably lighter shades of things and you think that's your personality. It's just triggers.
Yeah, a lot of our personality is basically it's the foliage that's built upon the sediment of the things that have happened to us as we grew.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, it's really fascinating. I think, I wonder how many two of those things can be like triggers from previous generations, even, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of investigation into that now.
Epigenetics.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you see like a zygote or something, or what's that beautiful rock? You ever bought one of those beautiful rocks and you crack it open and it's got damn magic in it.
Geodes.
It's just geodes. Yeah.
So cool.
God, and you're like, wow, this is in there, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's not all horrible shit inside of us. I mean, that's the thing. Like underneath all whatever the weird neurotic foliage you have is like for a lot of people there's like things like that.
Oh yeah, and these are a lot of women that that didn't have kids or whatever end up loving these things. or whatever.
What, geodes? I didn't know that. Is that true?
Yeah, these are like the Pringles for women that couldn't,
My grandfather worked here.
didn't have a child, I think.
I did not know that, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess I get it. It's kind of like a womb. It's like this universe in a womb or something.
Well, if you really think about what would life be like, right? If you thought about life.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you say you saw a little bit of a little bucket of uterus or a bucket of not uterus, but what's
Placenta.
the placenta, right? If you saw a little placenta on the ground, you'd be like, ugh. Look. If you didn't know it was placenta, say you're walking by, you'd be like, oh my
Have
god,
you seen live placenta?
a hippopotamus sneezed over here. No.
Dude, when I saw placenta for the first time, when my wife gave birth, it's an alien. Like, that is not of this world. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And it's just, they just grow that, man. They can just do that. It's an organ that they grow and then eject. It's nuts.
Who does it?
Who does what?
Grows it.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming like it's something, the DNA. It like, once you're pregnant, it just sort of, their body's not.
Oh, women.
Who did you think I said?
I don't know. I thought someone was growing it
My
somewhere.
friend's a placenta farmer.
That's what
And
I
he
thought you
invited me
said.
over, and it was just they grow it in aquariums, lots of jizz. It's basically jizz and honey, and depending, everyone has a different recipe.
Yeah, you have there's a bunch of Asians beating the rice off of it out in little boats.
There's all kinds of ways to make placenta, Theo, these days. Especially my grandmother's placenta recipe is insane.
Oh yeah, dude. I've had paella, I've had placenta. It's just depends on the holiday. You know?
Oh my God, when you get a wonderful placenta, it's so great. Harder to find these days. I don't mean to be like an old man and complain, but when I was younger, you would get much better placenta.
Oh, the Christmas placenta my grandparents would bring over.
Dear God. Oh my God, the smell of fresh placenta bubbling on the stove. Cinnamon.
It's roasting on an open fire.
No,
God, it was
dude.
good.
What the
And my
second?
grandmother would put cinnamon on hers.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
It's so interesting, man. It's so interesting. Yeah. So this was a big in my family over Christmas dinner.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was like, "Why don't we add cinnamon to the placenta?" And my grandmother just started weeping and walked out of the room. So ever since then, I've been afraid to try it, but I've heard it gets you super high.
Yeah, it's a real. It's brought families together for years. I think.
Yeah, I think it's an American tradition. I don't know why people are against it. It's just what you can adapt, you can adjust.
Oh
Yeah, have
my
you ever read
God.
Grapes of Wrath, dude?
Please
That book was a half chapter away from them eating a bowl of boiled placenta.
That's right. Yeah, just eat it. Eat
Yeah.
the placenta. Eat whatever you want.
I mean, the last page of that book, they're breastfeeding off their own sibling, I think, because they were so starving in that book.
Well, I mean, did you hear when they recovered Jim Morrison's body in the bathtub in Paris?
Mm-mm.
His mouth was full of placenta. A lot of people think it was heroin that killed him, but he got high and choked on placenta,
Oh.
Parisian placenta,
Ooh.
which is good.
Oh yeah.
I'm not to sound snobby, but I don't think anything beats the placenta of France.
Yeah.
You sound exactly like someone serving placenta in Paris. You've done this. You've been on the placenta tours. I went on a whole placenta bike tour in Paris. It was the best week of my life.
We had a 6-hour layover in Rome, which was just enough time to tour the ruins, if we skipped the line. Explore over 300,000 travel experiences you'll remember. Do more with Viator.
Do more of that.
Did you guys see that Morgan Wallen is on tour? Of course you did. He's out there. Who else is touring? The Harlem Globetrotters, I believe, are. And you'll.
People do eat this though. You're right. I've heard that in LA, women save the placenta and literally put
To
it in
get to the new
smoothies,
line,
now
you first
people
have to make a
they'll
jump and get off
incorporate
the
it in
ground,
the daily.
not knowing what the
Well, there's a new
Yeah.
purse too. I think they're doing a purse now.
You know, the purse is beautiful. Gucci has a wonderful placenta purse for this season, a summer placenta purse. But here's what's happened. What happens, and it's a real problem, is that people bury their placenta and they have a little ceremony for it, but they don't bury it deep enough, and their dogs dig it up.
Oh.
So you're sitting down to watch TV, and you look, and there's half of eaten placenta on your couch. So you got to put it in a box or bury it deep, because dogs just love placenta.
I can't even. It's everything. Yeah, it's everything a dog would want. It has blood in it. It's from the crotch area. It's dogs love all that.
Oh my
know?
God! It's yes, it's literally a dog's dream food.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do think it is kind of fascinating though that we don't have are we missing levels of ourselves in basic scans and information that how close are we to be able to do a scan, an MRI that tells us what's going on with ourselves at some different levels?
Like an emotional CAT scan.
Yeah. Emotional seems to be the level that seems to be a lot of the realm that we're really missing, I feel like, when it comes to diagnoses.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because
Oh my God, that was so scary.
all the psychologist has to go on is what the patient is telling them, right? Or that's it. You can't do anything other than that. Or like past behaviors, or but still you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, to me, the astounding part of being human, is we're choosing to behave the way we do. Many times I would like to think I didn't really have a choice there. Like that just was a reaction to an event. It spontaneously erupted out of me. But if you kind of mindfully study your worst moments, most of the time you'll realize there was like a micro moment where you decided to like do your defense mechanism that always hurts people's feelings or gives you a feeling later of guilt or something. There's this weird microsecond where you decide to do it. Like your brain is some kind of computer, and it's like choose your own adventure, and it spits out a few options, and you pick the most annoying, aggressive, shitty one.
Yes, I
You
do.
chose to do it. You weren't possessed.
Right.
But the choice happened so quick that you could easily miss the choice. That's what's cool about it, is you don't have to be the way you are at all. Change your clothes, change your haircut, get a face tattoo, whatever you want. You could do whatever you want, but we're addicted to being us, It's so habitual.
Wow. And it's one thing I noticed with doing meditation, right, that starts to help me is I'm not just like in the carriage of the roller coaster I'm on. I'm not just, because usually I'm so attached to my own life. I'm like, oh, this is what. But if I do some meditation, even for a couple weeks, I'm start to have a little bit more separation from me and what I'm doing. So I'm like, oh, I do have a little bit more choice. I can see a little bit more how I'm behaving instead of just behaving.
Yeah.
Like, if you're always upset, if you're always anything, or if you feel like you are just constantly in response to some choices that you're making, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Meditation has always given me a little bit of a step back where it's like, oh, I'm not always just the guy sitting in the roller coaster car about to go on the ride. Now sometimes I'm the person waiting by the side of it, like I'm the conductor a little.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, interesting. God.
Roller coaster is a great way to describe it, man. There's a lot of antiquated ways of describing it. Chariot attached to like the most powerful horses, and if you can't control them, you're gonna get dragged. Wild elephant.
Oh.
Wild elephant, but that's this is an Eastern. You have to grow up in India to even know like what that means. I mean, I've seen videos of wild elephants; they're not great.
Yeah.
The roller coaster, that's fucking awesome, man. Roller coaster. That's the new description of the
Smooth operator.
It's
Yeah.
good. Roller
Thank you.
coaster.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, but just not being so attached to myself. I will say that that's the only time I'm able to get any insight into like, wow, look at my behaviors, look at what's going on, instead of just being my behaviors.
Yeah. I mean, and something that's really wonderful is
No.
it's not like you have that pause that seems to expand with meditation.
That's
So
the
you
thing,
have a
you
little more
cocksucker.
time to decide what you're gonna do.
Oh my God.
It doesn't mean you're gonna choose the well-behaved thing to do.
Mm-mm.
It just means if you do choose to be an asshole, you did on purpose. You thought about it. And you're like,
Right.
I'm gonna be a fucking asshole here. I'm deciding instead of spontaneously just going asshole mode.
Right. That's it. That's what meditation provides. It provides you the ability or the noticeability to go from spontaneously being an asshole to choosing to say, hey, I'm going to be an asshole. Yeah.
What a gift! What a gift! No, one thing I don't know because I haven't read this. Someone who was friends with him told me that once he heard Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher, say, if an asshole gets enlightened, then they're going to be an enlightened asshole. This whole notion that you start meditating or take up the spiritual path, and like now, like I don't know, you're making Instagram videos in front of like crystal pools of water and beautiful forests with your beads, and you're like emanating light. That is not the case. It just you just like you're saying, you become the roller coaster conductor. At least you know that you are simultaneously controlling the ride and getting on the ride.
Yes.
And there's some freedom in that, I think.
Well, it's interesting because then you start to see, oh, well, what else could be going on in the depths of me when I'm not just sitting here in the same, like at the beach of myself. I'm not just, you know, it's like, I feel like that's one of the first steps in this sort of getting into like realizing there's more to you than just being this reactive substance described as like a human.
Reactive substance. Is that what the aliens call us? That's probably what they thought it was at first. They're just like, there's a bunch of reactive substance on that planet.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. Sometimes it like gets into vehicles. We think it's vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes a doctor tells one of them tells another one they have black guys in their head as a child.
Yeah,
You know?
I know. Well, you know, I did read that maybe that is the reason, even though these days I guess you can't say we're not getting visited, but one of the theories on why aliens are coming here is because they don't consider us intelligent life.
Yeah.
So they just see us as just like what you're saying, some kind of like vaguely sentient reactive meat and not worth visiting.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I've long thought the reason why I think aliens used to come a lot, probably back in the day, right?
Yeah.
They came a lot. That's why you saw a lot of Egyptians drawing them.
Yeah.
You know, and even the fact that they would stay stable long enough for an Egyptian to draw them, because in Egypt, you know, like they had to get a candle, they had to light it, they had to get the guy who could draw. Like it was a little bit more of than just
Chisel it.
yeah.
Sometimes chisel it.
Yeah, it was more than just us grabbing a phone, right?
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, they used to come by a lot, and then they realized it's kind of boring. We've become like one of the boring theme parks in the galaxy. So if your parents, if your alien parents take you to the Earth for your graduation, I bet the other aliens are like, what a fucking loser to your parents took you to fucking, nobody's been there in forever, dude. How poor are you guys?
It's like a Six Flags knockoff.
Yes.
Like one of those shitty theme parks where they don't even try to clean up the puke.
Yeah.
There's just puke splattered everywhere. You'll probably get like pickpocketed.
Yeah.
You look at the kids controlling the roller coaster and they're like clearly on PCP. They're not paying attention. People die. You know people die there. But that's
the
probably
guy.
it.
One of the guys running the rides is in a coma, but they have to hire, like the government's like, you have to hire more comatose people.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, the guy's like, just like has his morphine button and his fucking start the ride button confused.
Crazy. I mean, any theme park. I mean, that is really like, to me, the more terrifying than the roller coaster itself is when you look at the person controlling the roller coaster. And then imagine, like, what if that person was controlling subways in New York?
Oh.
Would you feel okay about that? But the roller coaster is probably more dangerous than a subway.
Totally.
It's like it shouldn't even work. It's like using weird physics. They hired a roller coaster architect. They could afford him for a couple of weeks, threw something together, and then they just let like a 17-year-old on like synthetic marijuana for sure.
Oh yeah.
Control that fucking thing.
No.
Yeah. And then he spends that kid lobbies to get a DJ there at the same time, like for the ride, right? Like they're like, we could spend more money on safety, and he's like, no way, dude.
No.
We need my boy Ricky right here to spin his tables on the side.
That's right. And you know they have insurance. So they're just like, look, I'm paying a shit ton of money for roller coaster insurance. If someone gets hurt, they get fucking hurt. We're getting a DJ. We're covered legally.
This is the rhythm of the night. Oh.
I think he's having a seizure. I think the roller coaster operator just had a micro seizure. Yeah.
Oh, he's having a seizure, dude. Beat up the beat, bro. We gotta fucking drop the beat. That'll help him.
Dude, I was in the back of a shit roller coaster at a shit theme park, just like you're describing. And whoever was there, like whoever's in charge of checking the straps, comes back to me. I was just a kid, man, and she looks at me and she's like, "You're not even supposed to be sitting in the back. The person next to you is heavy. There's a chance you could break a rib." There wasn't, "I'm gonna take you out and put you in a different seat." She just said that as she's tightening the thing that's holding me in the car, and then it just goes. And she was right. Like the person next to me was smashing. It hurt. Like I didn't break my rib.
It should hurt, man.
Yeah, it hurt.
It should hurt.
So what kind of meditation do you do, Theo?
What I do is I wake up in the morning, I say a prayer, I do a reading, and then I do 10 minutes of meditation. I just close my eyes. I just sit there, and if any thoughts come up, I try to just let them pass and not attach to them. I set my phone timer for 10 minutes, and that's it. And then I do like a written meditation after that, where I'll just write for 10 minutes straight. Just whatever comes into my head.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's great, man. You do that every day?
Mm-hmm. I've done that every day, man. I would say, or at least 6 days a week. I would say for probably the past few months, 4 months maybe.
Wow. That's
Feels
incredible.
pretty good. It makes me feel a little bit more like I'm okay to think about stuff and not just be as reactive sometimes.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's amazing. That's a long 4 months of like that kind of practice. Big deal.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, man. But yeah, I think I went to. Well, let me think about that a little bit more. But yeah, I think Earth. I do believe in, just going back to the aliens thing, that I think that Earth is. It's that old theme park where it's like, dude, we're not driving all the way out there. There's nothing out there. All the information is these people are just trying to butt fuck and just looking at, and growing yard drugs.
No,
Like,
what the
we're not going over there
fuck?
yet.
I'm picturing the alien display, like the Star Trek display, as that pops up, is what the analysis of planet Earth is. That's amazing. There's like, that's not worth our time.
Yeah.
We're not going to burn